fight! You have to let it go.
One. Intro. What if the real reason you overthink isn't because you're weak, but because no one ever taught your mind a calmer way to exist? Every day, we wake up already drowning, notifications buzzing, expectations pulling, and that quiet fear whispering, "Did I miss something?" While everyone else tells you to stay positive or just think differently. The Stoics offered something far more powerful, a mental shift that cuts through chaos in seconds. And today, you'll learn that trick. But before we dive in, take a moment, right now, to subscribe to Legacy of Thinkers. Not for the numbers, but because mastering your mind is a journey, and you deserve tools that actually work. Alright, ready? Let's begin.
Exhale
2.
slow.
The problem. The real problem with overthinking is that it doesn't arrive loudly, it sneaks in quietly. It shows up in the pause before you answer a message, in the way you replay a conversation from 3 days ago, or in that heaviness
Evelyn
you
found a
feel
new
when
way
you
to
wake up
observe the
already
subtle
tired.
patterns.
Modern life trains your mind to stay on high alert. Too many choices. Too much noise. Too many people telling you who you should be. And your brain, overwhelmed and desperate to protect you, tries to predict every possible outcome. That's why you spiral. That's why you feel
It's a
stuck.
journey between
It's not a lack of strength.
judgment
It's a survival
and the
system
event,
running overtime.
if you can imagine.
And left unchecked, it turns even simple decisions into emotional storms. 3. The Stoic shift. The Stoics offered a shift so simple that most people overlook it. You're not drowning because life is heavy. You're drowning because you're holding everything too close. Marcus Aurelius wrote that we're not disturbed by events, but by the stories we attach to them. And once you pause long enough to see that difference, something changes. Instead of reacting, you start observing. Instead of being pulled into every thought, you begin to create space around it. That space is everything. It's where
This is
clarity
fear.
lies, where emotional storms lose their power, and where you finally realize that your thoughts aren't commands, they're just visitors. And you get to choose which ones stay. 4. The One Stoic Mind Trick. The Stoic mind trick is practical, portable, and almost embarrassingly simple. Name it from above. When a thought rushes in, don't wrestle it. Rise, label, choose. Here's how it works in real life. Step 1. Pause the reflex. Feel the surge? Don't answer the text.
Is this mine?
Don't open the email. Inhale for 4. Hold 2. Exhale 6. Let your shoulders drop. Unclench the jaw. You're buying 2 seconds of freedom. Step 2. Take the view from above. Imagine you're
moments of
10 stories
uncertainty,
higher, watching
always
yourself at
choose
the desk.
principle
Life shrinks to a
panic.
clear map. You, the thought, the trigger. Distance turns noise into signal. Step 3. Name the thought, not the self. Say it plainly, out loud if you can. This is anxiety forecasting. This is perfectionism bargaining. This is shame replaying a scene. When you name it, you frame it. The brain moves from alarm to analysis. Step 4. Ask the Stoic question. Is this within my control? If yes, define the next tiny action. If no, release the outcome and choose the best response. Thought equals weather. You equals sky. Step 5. Choose on purpose.
It's a gap between
Pick
who
one
we
clear
are
behavior.
and
Draft
who we
a
are meant to be.
2-sentence reply. Schedule the task, or deliberately do nothing for 10 minutes. Calm isn't a mood, it's a policy. Example. Evelyn sees a late-night message and feels the drop in her stomach. She pauses, breathes, lifts above the scene. This is rejection prediction. Control? She can ask for clarity tomorrow. She cannot control their opinion tonight. She sets a reminder, silences the phone, and returns to the present. The spiral ends without a fight. Microscript you can use anywhere. Pause, name, decide one useful action. Or shorter, label it, limit it, leave it. Daily drill, 2 minutes. Write the top 3 loops that trap you. Pre-write their labels. Catastrophizing, people-pleasing, memory replay. Tape them near your screen. When they show up, you won't negotiate, you'll name and move. Common traps. Trying to eliminate thoughts, impossible. Searching for perfect certainty, a mirage. Or delaying action until you feel ready. The Stoic answer. Act by principle, not by adrenaline. You are not your first thought. You are your next decision. 5. Why it works. This Stoic mind trick works because it does something your brain has been begging for. It gives you distance. The moment you label a thought instead of drowning inside it, the brain shifts from survival mode to strategy mode. Neuroscientists call this effect labeling, and it's one of the fastest ways to calm the emotional brain. When you name a thought, this is anxiety forecasting. This is fear rehearsing failure. This is perfectionism negotiating. Your amygdala stops firing like there's a tiger behind you. The prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for reasoning, steps back online. You regain access to clarity, timing, and choice. The trick works for another reason. It breaks the illusion that every thought is a truth. Most overthinking comes from believing the first story your mind tells you. But stories are not facts. They're guesses, quick, sloppy, emotionally tinted guesses. By naming the thought, you interrupt the momentum before it becomes a full-blown spiral. It also creates what psychologists call cognitive distance, a tiny but powerful gap between you and the thought. In that space, emotion loses its grip. You stop reacting automatically. You stop defending yourself against things that haven't happened. You stop negotiating with imaginary disasters. And here's the most important part. When you label the thought, you prove to your brain that you're not powerless. You're participating. You're choosing. Even a 2-second act of naming shifts your identity from victim of the mind to leader of the mind. This is why the Stoics could stand calmly in chaos. They weren't superhuman. They were practiced. They built a habit of catching thoughts before those thoughts captured them. And once you get even a small taste of that control, something inside you changes. You no longer fear your thoughts, because you finally understand them. 6. Modern application. This Stoic mind trick only becomes powerful when it moves from theory into the moments that actually test you. And those moments aren't dramatic, they're ordinary. They hide in the grocery line, in the unread message, in the silence between you and someone you love. Picture Evelyn at work. A Slack notification pops up, short, vague, and perfectly engineered to make her stomach sink. Old habits would have sent her spiraling. What did I miss? Did I do something wrong? But now she pauses. She lifts herself mentally above the scene and labels it. This is anxiety jumping to conclusions. The tension softens. She answers with one clear sentence instead of a novel of apologies. Later, she's driving home, replaying a conversation she barely remembers. Instead of letting the loop take over, she names it. This is my brain rehearsing fear. The grip loosens. She turns up the air, sits a little taller, returns to the road, not the past. At night, she feels that familiar tightness, The worry about being judged, misunderstood,
You're here,
not enough. She
you're
breathes, calls it
and you're
out.
thinking.
This is insecurity asking for certainty. Control? None. What can she do? Rest, hydrate, prepare for tomorrow. Let the mind settle instead of negotiate. The modern world throws micro storms at you all day. Notifications, deadlines, delays, social pressure, emotional landmines. You don't win by resisting them. You win by refusing to fuse with them. Labeling creates just enough space to choose the next right action, not the most dramatic reaction. This is how calm is trained, not by escaping life, but by meeting it thought by thought. Not by eliminating emotions, but by refusing to let them drive. In real life, mastery doesn't show up as perfection. It shows up as small, deliberate, repeated moments where you decide, I won't spiral here. 7. Closing Stoic Wisdom. At the end of the day, the Stoics weren't trying to make you emotionless. They were trying to make you free. Free from the spirals, free from the noise, free from the stories your mind tells when you're tired and afraid. Remember this, you can't stop thoughts from arriving, but you can stop giving them the steering wheel. As Marcus wrote, the mind adapts and converts to its own purposes anything that obstructs its path. That's your power. If this message helped you breathe a little easier, share it with someone who needs that same breath. Leave a comment. Tell me which part hit you the most. And don't forget to like the video and subscribe to Legacy of Thinkers.
Choose calm.
It's not just a channel, it's a place to train the mind, steady the heart, and grow alongside people who want to live with intention. I'll see you in the next lesson.
I am so afraid. I know.
There's nothing to worry about.
Maybe.